Could you imagine a day when Aston Villa don't just beat a team in the top 5, but do it at Villa Park? Oh, what a monumental day that will be, maybe next year. And when that happens, I will pull out the Hibiki because in my opinion, this is the best and that will be a monumental day. Unfortunately, Tuesday was more like Carol Isla, which started okay. You thought things were going to go smoothly only for it to burn later. Let's review. Aston Villa 1, Liverpool 2. Welcome inside the Parlour, and I like to start with a dose of reality and some context. Yes, Liverpool is one of the best sides in the world right now, which is why they're still in on 4 trophies. The challenge I have is it's also a Liverpool team that made 5 changes, conceded early, and as the stats will show you, generated less big chances than Aston Villa, which leaves all of us Villa folk wondering yet again, are we a decent side that just can't finish our chances? Or are we miles away because this squad is simply incapable of turning in 90-minute performances, especially at home? A tale of two halves Villa. Where have we heard that before? Assertive in the first, chasing shadows in the second against a team that is stressed to the max, rotated, and playing huge game after huge game. So what's the remedy? Is it simply a matter of spending more money on better talent in the summer? Aston Villa, as a squad, is collectively devoid of winners. Go down the list. Mings, Konza, Cash, Nakamba, Luiz, Buendia, McGinn, Watkins, none of them have won anything. And what really irritated me on Tuesday was after taking an early and shock lead, Villa collectively switched off almost right away. They did not manage that situation. Marvelous Nakamba is completely out of control in the lead up to the foul. And does Luca Dean even need to take a foul there? Or can he just be patient? Kill those 10 minutes off. And then afterwards, from the free kick, the bumbling and fumbling and stumbling around. This is a mentality issue. It's not a talent issue. It's mentality. So what we really need in the summer, recruitment-wise, yes, we need talent. We need to improve the talent of the squad by bringing in players who are better than what we have right now at those positions. Yes, we need desire. Yes, we need a great attitude. Yes, we need game intelligence. But most of all, we need winners who understand how to manage those very specific situations in games where you got to kill it. And we didn't. Key moment issue, Fabinho going off. I actually thought Villa was doing better and had a better chance when he was on the park. This is called the Holy Trinity Show in tribute to the Trinity Road stand, but also because Trinity means the 3 big issues or moments that define Villa 1, Liverpool 2, starting with the key statistics. Will you look at that spectacular sight? And statistically, this game again did not reflect the scoreline in some ways. Villa actually had the better of certain stats, not expected goals, but successful dribbles, better percentage. Villa won more aerial duels, and the one that's incredible to me, they created more big chances. This is a bit not whoever created this, because he will be gutted. And once again, social media flooded with armchair managers who had the luxury of hindsight. You should have started Chambers and Buendia, they screamed. I just showed you that Aston Villa created more big chances with less of the ball than the team chasing the quadruple. Now, I actually thought Villa's tactical approach was quite clever and effective, particularly in the first half. If you want to call this a 4-3-1-2, you can. It's also a 4-4-2 midfield diamond, a narrow diamond. But Villa's chief concern in this match was Liverpool's right-hand side, whether that's Mo Salah or, in this case, Luis Diaz, who's obviously a very effective player. And Aston Villa literally tried to compress the space all around him and deny him the opportunity to do anything and say to Jones and Tsimikas, hey, you can have this side of the park because if you're going to switch play, we have time to shift over. And for the most part, that worked because Diaz at the end of the first half actually switched flanks to get away from the compression. So it worked for the most part, except for one moment in the 65th minute. Key moments that didn't turn into goals but were still breathtaking, all surrounding Little Phil. And all the talk in the pre-game build-up to this game was about how Phil Coutinho was on the verge of signing permanently with Aston Villa for just 17 million English pounds for a guy who's turning 30 in June and who has won things, makes it an absolute no-brainer. But he provided 3 moments in this game that were outer worldly. And when he does that, and it ignites Villa Park, the players are given a jolt of adrenaline, and although they didn't come off this time with decisive moments, you get the feeling that there are many moments still to come. We've never had a player quite like this before, and we often forget that football is the entertainment business, and this guy is an entertainer, and there's value in that for a club that is trying to create a global profile for itself. I mean, the 33rd minute, he absolutely undresses Trent Alexander-Arnold with whatever you call that. And yes, he takes it one step too far. But if that goes top bins, imagine the social media or the mainstream media coverage that would get around the world. And then in the 49th minute, after a fantastic first touch, he turns Virgil van Dijk into a hologram. Again, no bottom line this time. But we will possibly see more sorcery next year and the year after. And you know, if a recruit is trying to decide between Aston Villa and somebody else, Little Phil might tip their decision in Villa's favor. Key issue. Thank goodness that was the last time we will ever see John Moss officiating a match at Villa Park. And I'm all for let them play and be consistent in letting them play. But there came a point in that first half when John Moss was literally guessing on decisions. This one being the most egregious, how he didn't see that initial foul before calling Douglas Luiz for a handball. It defies logic, frankly. And the other thing that really bothers me is that he allowed Jurgen Klopp with his massive white chompers to bark at him in the tunnel at halftime. That's bad optics. You do not engage with the manager there. You tell him to move along. Refereeing was not the reason why Aston Villa lost this game, but it was an oddly and inconsistently refereed match, and that didn't help. Big issue number 3. Debu's distribution. Emi Martinez's distribution in this game, the accurate long balls, was really poor. 10 out of 29. That's 34%, or 1 out of every 3, basically. That's not good. I mean, this was 1 minute into the game. And if you're any other team in the Premier League, you're looking and going, well, just press Villa high. You're going to get the ball back. And if you're relying on 60 to 70-yard driven balls that are hopeful, you're flipping the coin on keeping possession. Too many times this year, Martinez's balls have either gone straight into touch, they've been too short, or in the case of a second half stoppage time free kick when Villa is chasing to try to equalize, he hits it too long. In fact, he's lucky Virgil van Dijk actually plays that ball. So the question you have to ask yourself is, why is he being put in that position so often of having to hit a long, hopeful clearance? Now, this issue can be rectified quite easily, in my opinion, with the acquisition of 1 or 2 types of players. Number 1, a footballing center back who is happy with the ball at his feet, comfortable in possession, can evade the press. Or a defensive midfielder who similarly likes to have the ball under pressure, can beat the first man, or position himself in a way that he always provides an escape route for the goalkeeper, rather than playing the ball back to Martinez and relying on a 60 or 70-yard driven ball to Ollie Watkins, who quite frankly this season has not been great with his back-to-goal, winning aerial duels, or just holding the ball up. Big issue number 2. Ings misses. Again, not about his partner, sorry for the dad joke, but in a game that had 2 ex-Liverpool players in Aston Villa's team, I wondered if maybe it would be Danny Ings who scored a cheeky goal against his former side. He had 2 glorious opportunities in this match, starting with a superb routine from a corner. John McGinn pings in an absolute beauty, and Ings is uncontested here. He rises the highest and he puts it over. And he knew it right away. And just on this, by the way, John McGinn also played a superb ball for Ollie Watkins for the 3-0 goal at Burnley. I'm enjoying seeing him play on his natural side. I love seeing him in these positions, and I want to see it more because we know he has that delivery in his locker. And then there was the breakaway chance, and another example of Lil Phil's improvisation and innovation which started the move, but how uncharacteristic is this touch from Danny Ings, showing so much of it to Alisson in comparison to the goal he scored at Burnley and then earlier this season at Brentford, similar locations in the penalty area. Too many times in this game and this season, Ings has just looked clumsy to me, and he was caught offside twice, buried one of them. But that's a symptom of a player who simply does not have that breakaway pace, the speed to win a foot race over those first 5 to 10 critical yards. My gut tells me that Cameron Archer joins the squad in preseason and sticks with the first team, and Villa still go out and try to find another penalty area poacher. My impression of Danny Ings, with games still left to go, is the same as my first impression when I heard they signed him. Wrong player at the wrong time. With the greatest of respect to his career, I just don't know if 7 goals based on the great chances that he's had throughout the year is enough of a return on investment. And again, I don't want players to fail. But despite the fact that he had 2 glaring misses, they were not the worst misses in this match. That distinction falls to Naby Keita. A lot of people will forget this moment, but this was a big let-off for Villa at the time. And the number one big issue or moment that defined Villa 1, Liverpool 2 was, in fact, the 1-2 goal sequence. And before we get into that, I should note that John McGinn and Douglas Luiz playing on their natural and non-inverted flanks look so much happier, so much more creative and comfortable, especially when they have, say, a Callum Chambers behind them at Burnley or at times a marvelous Nakamba behind them on Tuesday. And Douglas Luiz scores the goal because he has the goal gene in him. He does have the nose for the goal. Later, in and around the 12th minute, he had a wonderful exchange and he was developing a nice relationship with Matt Cash on that right-hand side, which underlines and confirms my feelings all along and the feelings of many that Douglas Luiz is naturally a number 8 type midfielder, not a holding midfielder. Isn't it interesting? Nakamba, the defensive specialist, comes out for Carney Chukwuemeka, forcing Douglas Luiz now into the number 6 role. Villa wasn't the same. In fact, they weren't the same in the entire second half, and we need to give some credit to Liverpool, who really put their foot on the gas. But on that throw-in, Luiz is caught out of position. There's so much space behind him. It's not a great ball from Carney Chukwuemeka, too slow and almost a passing the responsibility type ball. I hate throw-ins from this area of the field, by the way, especially squarish ones. This is what happens from those very situations. Now Cash is up the line. He takes the throw. Cons is on the touchline too, out of position. This forces Tyrone Mings to take on Luis Diaz. He gives him a lot of respect because he doesn't want to dive in, and because he's there, that gives Luis the time to play the ball to Sadio Mane, where Mings should be to potentially contest that ball. Take nothing away from that moment. It's an incisive moment that turns out to be the decisive moment between 2 brilliant players, but it could have been cut off at the source. And so, once again, here I sit on this very show sounding like a broken record, bemoaning the fact that Aston Villa Football Club still does not have a number 6 specialist type defensive midfielder who allows the number 8 attacking type midfielder to be the number 8 attacking type midfielder, while also excelling at the art of delay, the first principle of defending, especially after change of possession transitional moments. In fact, this type of specialist should have the ability to create those transitional moments by winning the ball and launching an Aston Villa counterattack. Let's be frank, Marvelous Nakamba was rusty today, and he can be forgiven for that. This was his first start since the game at Anfield where he was injured, and he's coming into a game against one of the best teams in the world chasing 4 titles, which does call into question. Why not just bring Callum Chambers right back into the position he played at Burnley and give Marv maybe some minutes at the end? because this is a great example of what happens when you're rusty. This is one of a couple of moments that Marvelous got away with. This one was absolutely shocking, though. Now, I know there's a Marvelous Nakamba cult within the fan base that believes he is the second coming of N'Golo Kante, and it's just a matter of time. I'm here to tell you that at 28 years of age, no, he is not, and he will play second fiddle to whoever Aston Villa brings in this summer. And does he even want to play second fiddle to somebody else in the squad? But if Aston Villa don't address this position this summer, then they simply have the wrong recruitment people. I must admit, 3 minutes in, I thought these categories were going to change substantially, but alas, they didn't, and thus the Villa Park record falls to 21 out of a possible 51 points. The 1-1 goal was a set-piece goal, not including penalties this year, so Austin McPhee drops into the minus category against the top six. 3 out of 33 points with one more to go at Manchester City. And Watkins, Ings, and Martinez all stuck in their relative categories. Next up, Villa try to do the double over Crystal Palace, a side that I'm sure Steven Gerrard has said to his players, we need to leapfrog them. And until that time, be well, and as always, up the mighty Villa.